Okay, so Apollo 18. I watched this back on Christmas Eve, and it's January now. It's, I think it's the 10th January or something, but it's been a while since I watched Apollo 18, so I can't remember everything about it. So, I might get some things wrong when I'm talking about the plot of things because I haven't watched it for a while, like I said. So, just wanted to throw that out there before I began. So on Christmas Eve, my family always sit down to watch a movie, and my parents, they went to Blockbusters, rented a few movies, and they brought back Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the Inbetweeners movie, obviously Apollo 18, and finally Blitz, which we had already seen. So I guess they forgot we saw that and then bought it, rented it anyway. Anyway, so Apollo 18. The story, I can't. So basically, Apollo 18, they gave the mission a go ahead. They tried to play off that the mission actually went ahead, so they sent off two guys to the moon. And, well, bad stuff happens, let's say, when they go to the moon. So they become stranded on the moon rather quickly, that's pretty obvious. And the movie just goes off from there. They're stranded, and of course they're just trying to figure out a way to, well, get back. And that's pretty much the gist of the movie. Of course there's some aliens, or at least monsters, on the moon with them as well. So, as well as them trying to get back to Earth, they've also got to be careful of the aliens around them as well. And yeah, so that's basically the story. That's all I have to say about the story. So, I know a lot of people hated this movie. It wasn't too well received, I don't think. And for those of you who don't know, it's a found footage movie as well. So I know a lot of people hated it. I guess some people just thought it was like, just wasn't very suspenseful and it was pretty boring. And I understand that. I didn't mind it. It wasn't great. It was okay. I kinda liked it, but it wasn't anything special. It was a forgettable movie. Not on the level of Tower Heist. It was better than Tower Heist. I liked it more than Tower Heist, let's say. They were both forgettable movies, but I liked this one more than Tower Heist. But I do understand why some people don't like it, wouldn't like it. It's pretty slow paced and not much happens. And yeah, it's just pretty much slow paced. I mean, most of the movie is just the guys sitting around. They don't explore the moon a lot. Most of the movie is just the two guys sitting around in the moonlander, or whatever you want to call it. So most of the movie is just them sitting there talking. So I understand why some people would find it pretty boring because it is pretty slow paced and just not much happens. So I understand why some people wouldn't find it that interesting. So I like I said, I understand why some people don't like it, but I didn't mind it. It was okay. So one thing this movie reminded me a lot of was The Ruins. It's that film where a bunch of people are trapped on the top of that pyramid structure thing, and there's a bunch of tribesmen stopping them from getting off. This movie was kind of similar to that, in a way in which you didn't know what the creatures were. I'm not going to give spoilers out just in case you haven't seen The Ruins. But the tribesmen are stopping the people from getting off the pyramid, so they're kind of trapped they're stuck at the top of the pyramid, trapped up there. And the danger, there's some sort of creature or monster with them inside the pyramid, let's say. And of course, you're wondering what the monster is, but it's kind of like a twist. I guess you could call it a twist to what the creature is. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, but you don't find out what the creature is until about halfway through the movie, or maybe 3/4. So this movie, what the creatures turned out to be in this movie, it's not as if they were the same things, but the same type. I'm having trouble trying to explain this because if I flat out just told you what the creatures were, it would be a lot easier and you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. There's also a spoiler, but basically, what the creatures are in this movie, it's kind of a twist. It's not a full-on twist, but I guess you could kind of say it's a twist, what the creatures turn out to be. That in itself is kind of a twist, and it kind of reminded me of The Ruins. So I kind of like that, but the thing is, I had that spoiled for me before I watched the movie. So throughout the whole entire movie, I knew what the creature was. So I was kind of disappointed with that, so I can't say whether or not it was unexpected or not. So I can't. So obviously, I wish I watched the movie from the perspective of not knowing what the creatures were, because then I could say whether or not it was unexpected and well done or not. So I'm kind of disappointed I can't comment on that. I guess they did it well. Even though I knew what the creatures were, I guess I can say they did it well. But this is from the perspective of someone who knew what the creatures were anyway. So throughout the whole entire movie, I knew that what the creatures were. So unfortunately, I can't really comment on that. But I do kind of like that. I guess I would have enjoyed it more if I didn't know that. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, this is one thing I gotta give the film credit for. I guess this would go under special effects, I guess. Is that there wasn't one single point in this movie where I actually thought that they weren't on the moon. Throughout every part of this movie, I did just believe they were on the moon. I mean, not seriously. Obviously, it was just a set they built. But there wasn't one moment in the film where I was like, oh, that's a set. It's pretty convincing. The sets, I guess they built sets for the film. But yeah, it looks convincing. It's very believable. Throughout the whole entire movie, you do believe they're actually on the moon. The way the characters move and stuff, yeah, you do believe they're on the moon. It's a well-designed set. I assume they built the set for this movie. Yeah, well, yeah, so whatever you want to call it, the set, they designed it well. And it's directed and it's just directed and acted well enough so you do generally believe that the characters are on the moon. So I gotta give the film credit for that. Another thing about going back to the creatures again, I do think they showed the creatures the right amount. It's one of the films where you don't see the creature that much. You really only see the creature towards the end of the movie, and even then you don't see it much. But I do think it's done very well, and the creatures are pretty much CGI. But the CGI is done very well because, of course, when the creatures, being this is a found footage movie, when the creatures do start appearing, the camera kind of goes all fuzzy, so you can't really see much. And of course, the character holding the camera is kind of running, so the camera is just shaking a lot, so it's difficult to see what's going on. And of course, like I said, the camera starts going static, and you can't really see that much. So everything goes blurry and stuff, so you can't really see the creatures. And in some cases, in some found footage movies, that's just annoying, but I think, well, I found it annoying in this movie as well. Like, I hate it when characters are running away and you can barely see what's going on, and it goes on for a while. So I think that it's annoying in that aspect, but it was done well in the sense that it allowed you, well, it prevented you from seeing the creatures much. So I think they showed you the creatures the right amount of times, and of course, because of the CG, because they use CGI to show you the creatures are just CGI. They would look pretty silly if you saw them, if the camera focused on them too much. So of course you don't see them that much, so the creatures look convincing enough in my opinion. The creatures look convincing enough basically, because they don't show you them that much. And of course CGI isn't always the best route to go, most people think. And okay, so there's the creatures, that's everything okay, one more thing about the creatures. They don't really explain, they just don't explain the creatures that much, like how they operate. For example, in Alien, when the facehugger, the stages of the alien life cycle, from egg to facehugger to baby alien to full alien, stuff like that. The characters, you just understand. You just understand because the creature is heavily featured in Alien, and the characters study the facehugger and stuff, so you get to understand what the creature does throughout the film. But in this film, you don't really get time to learn much about the creatures, because of course they only appear at the very end. So you kind of get glimpses of them throughout the film, but only until the very end do you fully understand what they are. So this film didn't really ever explain what the creatures are capable of. I didn't really mind that, it was okay, but I thought it was kind of disappointing that I don't quite get to see, fully understand what the creatures do. I know some people might like that, where you don't know is scarier, you know, that really overused saying, the whole what you don't know is scarier sort of thing. Yeah, whatever, like, if you agree with that, good for you. This film will appeal to you in that regard, but personally, I would have preferred if they kind of explained more about the aliens. I mean, this film definitely isn't going to get a sequel, or at least I don't think it is. So it's not as if they're gonna explain what the aliens were doing in the sequel. Like the aliens, I guess they just act on instinct. I'm not saying as if they had a master plan or something like that, but I'm just saying, like, I haven't seen the film for a while, but at the time when I was watching it, I'm pretty sure I was thinking that they didn't explain the aliens much. Like I said, I haven't watched it for a while, but if my memory serves, they didn't really explain much about the aliens. They kind of have possession powers. They can. It's kind of like an infection. They can infect you, it seems. I can't really remember much about it because I've seen it a while ago, like I said. But yeah, they didn't really explain the aliens that much. I didn't mind it. Just something I'd just like to point out, I guess. And anyway, so moving away from the aliens now, that's pretty much all I have to say about them. I thought the start of the film was kind of annoying when they first get to the moon, because they set up a bunch of cameras all around the place, like around the space shuttle or the moon lander, whatever you want to call it. The little spaceship thing, the little pod they're staying on the surface of the moon. So they set up a bunch of cameras around the place, and I thought it was kind of annoying at first because pretty much the first 10 minutes, when they get to the moon, the first 10 minutes of them on the moon, it's basically the camera is cutting back and forth between all of the cameras. There's not really anything happening story-wise or to the... It's just not really that important, but they waste about 5 or 10 minutes where they just kept jumping back and forth between the perspective of a bunch of cameras they've set up, and it's just nothing's happening story-wise. Neither of the characters are being developed or anything. They're just cutting back and forth between all the cameras, and they do this for like 5 or 10 minutes, and I thought it was kind of annoying how they kept jumping back and forth, because you're trying to focus on, you're trying to get into the scene of focus on what the camera is showing you, but then it just cuts to another camera, then it cuts back, and it cuts to a different camera, then a different one, then it cuts back to the second one, then to the third one, back to the first one. And I just thought that was kind of annoying how they kept cutting back and forth. I think they just drew that on for a bit too long. So that's kind of one complaint I had about that. And I'm actually coming to the end already of the review. It wasn't going to be a long one. My next mega long review is probably going to be the Hostel trilogy. When the UK get Hostel free, I'm going to review the trilogy. It'll probably be an hour long, but all I have to say about this film is that the possession scene was done well, I think, or sequence, or whatever you want to call it. The way how the character was slowly getting possessed throughout the film, I think they kind of built that up very well, and the actor did a good job, I think, in my opinion. He acted it out very well, and you bought it. You did actually think this character was being possessed by one of these creatures. So I think the film did that well. And one last thing, I thought I didn't like the inclusion. Okay, what they do, this happens early on in the movie, so it's not much of a spoiler, but the characters, they're walking around on the moon, the surface of the moon, and then they find another moon lander or space shuttle, whatever you want to call it. I think it belonged to the Russians or something, I can't quite remember. But they find, so that's what they do, they find it and it's a working shuttle, so you know how the movie's going to end already, or at least you know what direction the movie's going to go for towards the end. As soon as you see that there's another space shuttle on the moon and it's working, you can tell how they're going to try and resolve the storyline. So I didn't really like that because it kind of took the tension out, because what could have been a really cool, really suspenseful situation where you're actually sitting there wondering, how the hell are these guys going to get out of this situation, instead of kind of being on edge and feeling the suspense of wondering how they're going to get out of this situation. As soon as they investigate the Russian shuttle or whatever you call it, it's pretty obvious how the movie's going to end, or at least the direction they're going for towards the end of the movie. So I didn't like the inclusion of that, but to be fair, if they didn't include it, where else could they have gone? So I guess I don't blame them. I don't blame them for having that there, I guess. So it's no biggie, I guess. One last thing, I like the scene where this happens on 2 occasions in the movie. It's one of those situations where the character is in a pitch black area and they're using this flashing light thing. If you've seen Saw, the first Saw film, where Adam is walking around in his apartment and it's pitch black and he's using his flash camera to illuminate his apartment because the power's gone out, so he can't see, the lights are off. So you know the situations where characters gotta use some sort of flashing device, so it flashes every few seconds, and when it flashes for that split second, they can see their surroundings. So this scene has this film has two scenes in which it has one of those situations, and I think it was done well. I mean, that sort of thing can be very annoying if it's done badly, I think. But I think it was done well, and of course they kind of use this to reveal the aliens as well, and I think that it's done well. I think that was a really effective scene, so well done for them for that scene, I guess. Good job to the director. One final thing. This is the last thing I have to say about the film. The quality is really shitty as well, and it was consistently shitty as well. Like, the quality of the camera and the footage was pretty bad, but of course they did it on purpose because this movie was set in like 19 whatever. I'm not quite sure when they were supposed to be doing Apollo 18, but the quality throughout the whole entire film, the quality is pretty shitty. I can't remember if it was in widescreen. I'm not sure if it was full screen or widescreen either. So props. This is if memory serves. I'm pretty confident that the quality was pretty bad throughout the film. But that's a great thing. I mean, Grindhouse did it, but mind you, that's supposed to be Grindhouse did it, and that did it great. Thing is, if I got this film on Blu-ray, I'm wondering how would the quality look? Did they fix it up for the Blu-ray and make it look like any normal film, or did they do it like Grindhouse? It's kind of difficult trying to explain what Grindhouse looks on Blu-ray because the quality is kind of shitty, but it's kind of good at the same time. It's clearly 1080 and everything looks good, but at the same time it looks really shitty from where they've purposefully made everything really grainy. So I'm kind of wondering how would this film look on Blu-ray. I guess I'll have to check it out sometime. I'm kind of interested in that. But props for them, because obviously in the 80s they didn't have HD cameras, you know, so props for them for making the quality of the film really shitty, like the quality of the cameras. So I do appreciate them for doing that. Something which Paranormal Activity 3 didn't do, but whatever. It's not a big deal anyway. I wouldn't have bashed the movie if they made a good quality either. But I do appreciate the little things like that, so good job to them for doing that in the movie. So that's all I have to say about Apollo 18. I understand why people don't like it. It's pretty slow paced, not much happens. It mostly consists of the two characters just sitting around in the space shuttle or pod or lander, whatever you call that little box thing they were sitting in. Most of the movie consists of the two characters sitting there talking. And it's a pretty slow paced movie, so I totally understand why a lot of people don't like it. But I'm not sure if I was feeling generous or whatever. I mean, it's not a great movie. It's a good movie, I'd say. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. 5 is average, by the way. The way I see the out of 10, 5 is average. So it's not good, but it's not bad either. So it's just okay. So 6 means it's leaning towards good. So I would give it a 6 out of 10. It's an okay movie. Well, a good movie, I'd say. Just about. But like I said, I do not blame anyone for not liking this movie. I understand why people wouldn't like it. And I guess I wouldn't be surprised if some people thought the aliens were a bit silly as well. Because it'll either work for you or it won't. Because when you find out what the aliens look like and what they are, I do understand that some people might just think it's a bit comical. It just might not work for some people what the aliens actually are, but for me, I liked it. I do like the sort of films like The Ruins where you don't know what the threat, the alien or monster is until about halfway through or 3/4 through the movie. I like it when movies do that because then you're trying to figure out what the threat is for the half or 3/4 of the movie. So yeah, that's why I thought of Apollo 18. It was an okay movie, and that's all I have to say. It was okay. Thanks for watching. Bye.